Welcome to this lesson on reviewing and reporting on strategy execution, a vital aspect of your strategic management program. Execution is the process that turns strategies and plans into actions in order to accomplish strategic objectives and goals. Execution of your plan, through action plans and projects, is arguably as important, or even more important, than your strategy. Sadly, the majority of companies do a miserable job at execution. Central to the successful implementation of business strategy is the Strategic Review Program. The Strategic Review Program is used to monitor and report on implementation of the actions and strategic initiatives. In this unit, we will look at the elements of this process and how to use it to empower people across the organization to engage in dialogue about strategy and make active contributions to what will be a dynamic planning process. While all organizations differ, there will typically be a number of inputs into the strategic review process. These can include strategic initiatives reports, balanced scorecard reports, and financial reports, monthly and quarterly. However, there may well be many additional sources of data, which can feed into the strategic review process. Your organization will ideally have a hierarchy of performance reports from which data can be drawn. These may be at the corporate level, the strategic business unit levels, and the team and business unit levels. This chart illustrates such a hierarchy of performance, or scorecard reports. Such reports will ideally be deployed using a schedule like the one illustrated here, in which we have monthly financial and scorecard reports, quarterly financial and scorecard reports, and additionally strategic initiative reports. And finally, annual reports in the same format which ultimately feed into business planning and budgeting. Ideally, your organization will be able to deploy a series of monthly scorecard reports, such as the one illustrated here. This operations scorecard report measures performance across a number of KPIs and displays performance against budget and year-to-date forecasts. This scorecard follows the same format and presents health and safety performance data. Ideally, your annual strategic review will review progress against targets on all four perspectives of the balanced scorecard: financial, market and customers, operations, processes, and people and learning. And in addition, progress and outcomes analysis of strategic improvement initiatives or projects. At the business unit or department level, a collective meeting each month is normally required for the senior management team to report on department-owned goals and performance measurements, with an emphasis on what your organization's key performance indicators are telling you. This is where goal status and realized performance have an opportunity to be analyzed and learned from. As a result, recognition for achievements and cooperation can be deemed appropriate, or the need for corrective actions can come to light. Starting at the team member level, key staff should update the team on the monthly actions they are responsible for. Department leaders should then organize a monthly meeting with all key staff to review department-owned goals and performance metrics. This is also the time to brainstorm, discuss and take action on tactical or operational issues that might be clogging progress. In the strategic management process, staff at different levels have responsibilities. The key participants will include the senior leadership, the business unit managers, team leaders, and business improvement and/or strategy implementation manager. In strategy implementation, the CEO typically leads the implementation effort, establishes clear roles and responsibilities, allocates resources for action items, holds monthly performance review meetings with executive management team, holds quarterly strategic review meetings with the senior leadership team to monitor the status of the plan, leads by consensus, but makes key decisions when necessary, communicates plan status, accomplishments, and lessons learned with the workforce, and finally, communicates results as appropriate to customers, stakeholders, and the board. In the strategy implementation process, business unit managers will typically support the strategic plan and incorporate it into day-to-day business and processes, prioritize objectives, and allocate resources for action items, provide training resources, charter improvement teams, guide the workforce through implementation issues, remove organizational barriers to goal accomplishment, communicate plan status, accomplishments, and lessons learned with their employees. and create lower-level plans to support the corporate plan. And team leaders will normally attend monthly performance review meetings, lead improvement teams, support the workforce through implementation issues, communicate plan status, accomplishments, and lessons learned with their employees, create lower-level plans to support the business unit plan, draw attention to problems and resource shortcomings to business unit management, and report on progress to business unit managers. The business improvement or strategy implementation manager normally provides guidance and consultation to senior leaders, establishes and maintains performance monitoring and strategic review programs, coordinates quarterly review report compilation and dissemination, tracks corporate strategic plan action items reporting, facilitates senior leadership team meetings and offers facilitation to other team meetings, works with senior leaders to develop QPR agendas, requests necessary resources for system management, asks subject matter experts to attend certain meetings, develops a data collection plan, identifies implementation problem areas, and coordinates the business planning program. So how do you run a strategy review? The main idea of the review meeting is to monitor progress of the company from a strategic level and make sure that objectives are on track. The framework we propose here is for a medium to large-sized company, one large enough to have a strategy officer, but could easily be scaled down to meet the needs of smaller organizations. Again, the key to keeping your focus on strategy all year is to separate the content of your strategy meetings and your operational review meetings. What many times begin as strategy-focused meetings usually atrophy throughout the year into sessions focused on putting out day-to-day fires, and we don't want that. In preparation for the review meeting, you should ideally compile scorecard reports, developed by business units or by the performance reporting system manager. Strategy initiative reports, prepared by the business unit managers, supported by business improvement or strategy manager. Everyone in attendance should read the reports before the meeting and be ready to discuss. The best strategic reviews are facilitated. In this way, the organization will be able to maintain its focus on strategy implementation, rather than discrete problem solving. Note, reports should include objectives and targets, color-coded by status, on schedule, behind but not needing attention, off track and requiring attention. If an item is off track and requiring attention, the report should include a short comment from the item's owner, explaining the performance gap, and what actions are being taken or proposed to address them. And here is a typical agenda for a strategy review meeting, which should ideally include a status review, a strategy overview by the CEO, action plans or strategic initiative updates and assessments, a meeting summary, and an action log. In a constantly changing business environment, the ability to modify and implement new strategies quickly is important. Economic pressures, industry changes, regulatory pressures and changes in consumer preference can all impact a business's ability to sell its products or services. Therefore, it is essential that you are ready to adjust your business strategies dynamically, if the business is to respond appropriately to changes that may represent both potential opportunities and new threats to its operations. A dynamic approach to strategy implementation leverages scenario planning and environment scanning tools to anticipate changes on the horizon. A dynamic approach calls for greater attention to understanding what should we learn from the fact that we are off track. It allocates additional expertise to assess whether the problem is a detour requiring rapid course correction, or whether it is instead a leading indicator that a change of course is in fact required. Ongoing communication is crucial for success. It is extremely important for the senior leadership team and managers of each BU to share lessons learned, to share successes, and to show that work is being accomplished. The senior leadership of each BU needs to choose formal communication methods that will reach the widest audience on a continual basis. These may include bulletin boards, newsletters, intranet, and toolbox meetings. Finally, for strategy implementation to be successful, you will need to truly engage your people. Allow all employees in your organization to view and comment on implementation of the strategic plan that does not reveal sensitive company secrets. Allow employees to make strategic suggestions can increase employee motivation, by making them feel appreciated by their employer, and may reveal opportunities that you and your managers have overlooked. And use employee feedback in your short-term planning and review activities, and when re-evaluating your strategy. Sustaining implementation over the long term also requires investment in organizational capabilities. The behavioral changes required by a new strategy may not stick until they are embedded into a company's enduring organizational capabilities. By investing in helping individuals develop the new skills and competencies required by the strategy, a dynamic approach increases the likelihood that the strategy implementation effort will not be a temporary, isolated event. Strategy fails if it is not dynamic. Successful organizations adapt their strategy continually to changing market conditions and consumer demands. The same applies also to public sector and non-profit organizations, where the demands of stakeholders are continually evolving, and in many ways, becoming ever more demanding. Therefore, your organization needs to institute processes for continual review of strategy implementation, and to engage staff across the organization to get feedback and learn from failure. Subscribe now and join us in your career journey. Want to learn more? Click on one of our websites to view our range of online business and management courses.